Team Namibia. Well, that's it. And now it is time for the line. Starting with Team Zimbabwe, Victor Moponga, Matthew Mandioma, Cleopas Kundiona, 1, 2, and 3. Godfrey Muzanargo and Simbarashe Siraha are 4 and 5. 6 is Tino Tenda Mavesere. Dylan Utete is 7. Completing the pack is Jason Fraser at 8. Hilton Mudariki, the captain, is as usual scrum half. Ian Pryor will be in his fly half. Edward Singer.
It all comes down to this. It finally settles right here and will be sorted on this. The right to be the apex rugby team of the continent. A ticket to represent the motherland in the quest for the Webb Ellis Trophy. It's the final, and Zimbabwe do line up in standard style, having a couple of notables in there. Hilton Mudariki, Ian Pryor, Edward Sigauke, all expected to put on a strong showing. Namibia will be up in arms to make sure that won't be the case. Jermaine Egesa here with me, Anesta Koremirunji, as the final of the Rugby Africa Cup 2025 gets underway.
What a spectacle we have at our hands. The two of the best rugby playing nations in Africa, outside of course the double World Cup champions, South Africa. We've seen the Webb Ellis Cup. This is not what they are playing for today. They are playing for a ticket to that tournament in 2027. And what a moment it is going to be. 80 minutes to come.
A step closer to the chance to go for the grandest prize in the world of rugby, and no bigger motivator than seeing the Webb Ellis Trophy itself in place. Referee from South Africa, Paul Mente, he will be in charge of this particular one. This is a championship bout. Blink and you may lose sleep over it. As in blue, Namibia.
We talked about Zimbabwe's kick reception and we saw it in the semi-final. Namibia have done their homework and they've won the restart almost immediately.
Straight off the bat, the Sables in the white and green, looking to land a mark here. They are the reigning, defending, undisputed champions, and they have played with aplomb and swagger all throughout the tournament, a style that has earned them quite the notable droves of fans here in Uganda. Now they come up against probably what is going to be their toughest opponent yet.
Zimbabwe bring a different energy to the Rugby Africa Cup. We know Uganda and Kenya for having the vibrant fans, but the Sables and the Zimbabweans have brought that music, that culture in the stands. They've only won this Africa Cup tournament twice and been to the Rugby World Cup twice as well, but it was back in 1991. For sure, Namibia are the team to beat. They are the men who know how to go to the World Cup 7 times in a row since 1991.
They'll be looking for double figures in terms of African Cup trophies. They have 9 in their cabinet. They're bidding for a 10th. And if they do get that 10th, it will be the 8th consecutive trip to the Rugby World Cup. And they could make a good doing or showing for that here as they start off well. But that ball is put into touch. JC Nail, who had a very brilliant tournament in the Rugby Africa Cup 2024. He's back again and looking to definitely put up the same showing. Lost the mustache, by the way.
Yeah, one thing you'll notice about JC Nail is that he's only coming into this tournament for this game. He was away with his club in South Africa, but the quality he brings has earned him a slot on the starting lineup. This is what Namibia are known for, bring their best men for the Rugby World Cup qualifier.
Line in, picked up here by the Sables. They look to grind out. Decent attempt there, was a very big pickup there. Victor Opunga, Matthew Mandioma has also been another one who's been very excellent with his line outs here all tournament long. It's a long ball. JC Nail sets the ball in motion. Zim, the Well Witches as they're better known, Cliven with a big kick there, and the ball is dropped and missed out here, and the referee awards possession back to the Well Witches.
Tapia Mafura making the case that he popped that ball backwards. You can see the reaction on his face, but this is good stuff from Namibia. They know that as soon as they can kick very well like Cleveland Lupsa does, and then the chase from Loru Malan, apply pressure on the backfield of Zimbabwe. Tapia Mafura is good with ball in hand, but when you give him space, he will not kick it back, he'll run it back. Apply pressure before he gets the ball, force the handling error, and you have possession in good territory. Look at that backline split on two sides. Namibia with the number 10 Andre van der Berg on one side and Danko Barga, the 12, on the other side. Those are two playmakers who can strike and strike hard.
Well, locked in here, and it's a chance to test those muscles, but as is with any scrum, it's not just the muscles, but the brain has to go along, and Namibia win that battle of wits and wills. They set the ball in motion. This is Cliven racing down the flank, trying to find some space to pop in. Swift transitions here from the Will Witches. And Zimbabwe with a huge tackle.
Brandon Zekenyezi, it's open play, so he stays just on the other side of the contest in play, fixes his man, but you know, Namibia had the advantage of the scrum, the loose head angling a bit for Zimbabwe. And dare I say that the men who have gone to the World Cup 7 times in a row, won this Rugby Africa Cup 9 times, especially when it matters most, are going to strike first through Cliven Lupsa's boot. He has the first shot at goal, just 4 minutes played on the clock.
I will attempt to split the upright here. That would definitely put them on the front foot only if. TAS Stadium holds its breath. Cliven set to go about it here. Makes the kick. And it counts. It's the first 3 points on the board. And Namibia, the Well Witches, have taken the lead in the final.
Cliven Lupsa, 72.3% accuracy off the tee with just 24 points on his name. Is the top point scorer for Namibia, and he makes no mistake in the final. Make that 27.
Well, what makes it even more interesting here for Lobson is the fact that his expected kicking return rate was supposed to be 62.7. He's upped the ante, talking about showing up on the big day.
Zimbabwe need to work on their restarts. They need to work on that kick chase. And now maybe with the ball in the hand of Tapia Mafura, they have a first chance to strike, first meaningful possession.
Looking to race in Zimbabwe. And there comes Ian Pryor, or is better known down in Harare. Zabuku.
Ooh.
Big kick to clear.
Another,
the referee will call it back.
That's another heavy tackle from Brandon Zekenyezi. Should be him.
This is not going to be for the faint-hearted. Those tackles are being dished out with relish and real malevolent intentions here. 6 minutes. Zimbabwe nil, Namibia nil. It is the final of the Rugby Africa Cup 2025.
You know, you notice that Zimbabwe are kicking for territory while Namibia are kicking for a contest. That's why the fullback Cliven Lupsa had an easy run in, but he got thumped in the tackle, and now Zimbabwe have possession and territory in a good place to attack off this set piece.
They'll look to feed that ball in. Locked in the scrum here. Quick release here for Zimbabwe. Try to race their way, trying to break things down here. Shall we? They lose possession there.
There's the number 8.
Once again.
Hardwick flew off his feet. Kuzai Mashawi was, to be honest, isolated in attack, running against the angle. But Hardwick, off his feet, tries to play the ball on the floor, and Paul Mente will not be letting that slide.
Well, there is no guessing what decision will be taken here by Zimbabwe. Ian Pryor has been their executor-in-chief when it comes to the kicking tee, and done that with a relish. 37 points to his name. He'll be looking to make it a grand 40 here.
Top point scorer for a reason, and that's why Zimbabwe are in the final, because of Ian Pryor's boot.
So goes through his kicking ritual, sets himself up, does the wiggly dance, and all the way down to the fingers. Tees himself up, and he gets it nailed. It is 3-all. Well, talk about big game. We are definitely now hanging with the big time. Zimbabwe respond in equal measure, and it's back to square one.
Cliven Lupsa, 1 shot at goal, points on the board. Ian Pryor, 1 shot at goal, points on the board. This is what it means to play in the final. Efficiency has to be at the top level. He strikes it so well. Ian Pryor hasn't looked like he was going to miss.
He's hardly put a foot wrong all tournament long. For the moment, he definitely would be a shoe-in contender for MVP of the entire tournament. But one final hurdle that he must brace himself for, the final.
Yeah, being MVP when you've not won the final, it's like, it's a bittersweet feeling, I should say.
The bride that danced herself lame before the wedding day.
We've seen those memes on the internet of the young man receiving his gift but no smile on his face. And given how Zimbabwe are receiving the kickoffs, the restarts, Ian Pryor and his Sables teammates need to first take care of the business before they can look at the end product, because Cliven Lupsa and his teammates on the Velvishers will not be leaving any stone unturned, especially noticing that Zimbabwe have been struggling on the restarts.
He already has 27 points to his name. He'll now look to make it 30. Goes for it, looking for the split, and it does. A big 3-0. These two seem to be in a contest of their own. Anything you can do, I can do, and I'll do you one better.
It's game on. It's game on. We know the Rugby Africa Cup tournament is all about the power, the scrums, the flair, but the kickers have come to the party.
Another 3 points.
Many times they'll always tell you it's one thing to attempt to win the tournament, but the kickers definitely give you an edge to that. Once again, the Sables attempt to force the issue here. Question is, which one of these two teams will actually gain the first try in this game? Ian Pryor sets that ball in, looking for Tapua. Tapua tries to race forward, out on the flank.
Looked like a seatbelt tackle.
Setting it on, trying to break the lines here. Hefty Godfrey. Ooh, skipping away from one challenge, but the tackle holds true to the ankle. The ball ultimately was released by the referee. He is signaling that the Welwitcher probably a little too enthusiastic, and we're caught offside here. So Ian Pryor once again continues that personal contest he has with Cliven.
Yeah, the Velvishers crept up a little too quickly off their back foot of the line, but I'll tell you, you'll just notice how much intensity Hilton Mudariki is using to play, and he makes that call of the seatbelt tackle to the referee. Mente says, I've noticed it, I'll take a look at it the next time. And these are the fine margins we're talking about. But just take a look at how much energy Mudariki is using to pass those balls. He's clenching his jaws as he's passing. That is how much effort these players are putting in.
The skipper it is, and now Ian Pryor will try to keep the points board ticking and stay in contention here against Namibia. It's for the kick. Ooh! It doesn't get any closer than that, but can Zimbabwe Sables turn that adversity to their advantage. Mudariki sets the ball in motion, tries to grow that one through, still holding on to the ball, finally getting to the ground.
That was a good chase from Tinotenda Mapesere.
Attempting to get this one moving on in motion, and once again Mudariki sets it out onto the right, and quick move, a bit of flair, trying to break their way through here. Matthew McNabb is the man with the ball, eventually releasing it, and they are providing ample support. Tension, Nabs on the edge. This is sheer breaking point. Looking to pass, looking to break down the resolute defense here of Namibia. The unstoppable force meeting the insurmountable defense. Who will crack?
Takla, no releasing, is it?
And they'll go to the poles. Almost unthinkable that they would miss from this distance for Ian Pryor. But we'll have a chance now to level the score once again. So penalty.
I'll tell you one thing. That chase from Tinotenda Mapesere is what has brought Zimbabwe to this point. The kick came off the upright. He chased it, leaped up in the air, won the contest, and set his team on the front foot. Namibia could only hold on, and they've given away a penalty. Now Ian Pryor can level matters with ease.
And the kick is good. So 6 it is. 6 points to his name, and keeps the team in the game. Ian Pryor still making sure that they are within striking distance.
Yeah, you can see after Ian Pryor made the kick, as he's running back, he's directing his teammates to watch the right zones, because every time Namibia have kicked to them, they have had the contest on the ball. So Zimbabwe need to clean that up in this first quarter of the game.
Momo, you get a 35%.
Packed stadium here, packed to the rafters. The final is underway. That ball is lost. Ian Pryor putting it to the back, and he could live to rue that particular instance. That ball quickly picked up, and now trying to force the issue, trying to force the Sables to relinquish possession. But they do manage to hold fort. That ball in a very precarious area, especially for picking.
They need to do just one phase, and then it's an easy pick for Hilton Mudariki. Maybe another man in the pocket, and Ian Pryor can exit. But look at that carry from Tino Mapesere.
But quickly ground out and brought to the ground. It's total alertness in all flanks and all sectors.
The pass not going to hand. Ian Pryor losing it forward. But I'll tell you, I've mentioned it so many times, I'm beginning to sound like a broken record. Zimbabwe's kick receipts need to get better.
In the meantime, Tien de Klerk is the epitome of attention to detail. Wasn't going to let anybody go hopscotch free from that section. Brilliant tackle to hold on to his man and buy Namibia the time that they needed to regroup, recalibrate, and now they have a chance to get it on once again from the scrum.
That was a transfer of pressure. I thought Zimbabwe were going to exit, get out of their red zone, but they look to run it on the short side. Hilton Mudariki throws a hopeful pass, but it comes just off the shoulder of one of the teammates. Ian Pryor doesn't get a clear view at it, loses it forward. Scrum time, Namibia.
14 minutes on the clock and counting. Both teams locked in, leveled in. Could definitely cut the tension in this arena with a knife. It's that much. Crackling atmosphere it is. As that pass is made here for Namibia, has a bit of a poor pass. In the end, Danko Baga rescuing it and keeping the move alive here for Namibia. That ball is lost in there, and that's quite the scramble. Referee judges that for a knock-on. You can see how much it means to Zimbabwe. They did have their backs to the wall.
Yeah, they need to exit their own area, Zimbabwe. Playing from here, especially in a final, is dangerous. You give away a penalty, Cliven Lupsa converts. You make a mistake with ball in hand, it can bounce the other way and try to be scored under the uprights with ease. But I tell you, I watched these two teams in their warm-up. One team across the other on the pitch in the main stadium here at Nambole. And you could feel the tension. You could feel the pressure in the air. And so far, so good from both teams. They've managed to handle that pressure.
For those that have been in these situations, it's normally called the weight of expectation. The entire nation watching on. Ooh, big tackle. And that sets the man to the ground, and in the meantime, they continue to chase and probe for advantage. The Sables now matching their flair with a bit of grit, and they could have a clean opening out here, out on the flank. Quick running. Ooh, brilliant pass, still maintaining and keeping the move alive. Godfrey nearly getting the opposition out of the way. Jason Fraser gets onto the ball, passes it on well through the center, and now they'll look to overload on the open side, but Namibia keeping a good eye on that. Play continues, still holding on. Dilian Utete.
That is the best sequence of play I've seen in the entire tournament. The Zimbabwe Sables, I expected them to kick it out into safety. They decided to run it on the short side. What a carry that was from Kudzai Mashawi, sitting a man down, and then the offload through the hands. Matthew McNabb getting into the 22, recycling it quickly. Zimbabwe know that Namibia have a better kicking game. They said, let's run it, and they're doing it so well.
Line out it is there, and quite the tense excerpts of play and sequences that they are putting into the fray. Could definitely have a couple of these moments played back again and again, and it would be a perfect summation of the entire tournament. That right there, that sequence probably would epitomize it the best. And look at that for a big sit down. Ooh, my oh my! Wouldn't you not want to meet him in a dark alley?
Yeah. Pound for pound, Kudzai Mashawi is one of the heaviest ball carriers in the tournament. And don't be deceived for his size, he is a quick man as well.
Very fleet-footed Kudzai Mashawi, vice captain, popularly known as the enforcer, and he's one of the toughest guys on the field with 25 caps to his name. This is his 26th cap here for Zimbabwe Sables.
And what a way to announce his presence in the tournament in the final.
Whoever gave him the nickname the enforcer definitely had a thing or two in mind as they get a chance here now to carry the ball forward. Good play from Matthews, tries to set the ball on once again, rolling forward, steaming their way through. Kudzai Mashawi makes it a try, and the celebrations get underway in earnest from Harare to Bulawayo, from Mutare all the way to Kweru, and Kweke as well join in the multitudes of Zimbabwe right here at the Mandela National Stadium. They are in the lead and now have their tails wagging. The first try of the final, the Rugby Africa Cup 2025.
That's a beautiful set play, but look at the support line by Kudzai Mashawi. We mentioned his name. No sooner had we done that than he touched down under the uprights. Well worked set play from the entire forwards, but then those angles from the backs. Zimbabwe are not here to play.
Well, Ian Pryor now will attempt to go for the conversion. Could easily turn 11 to a healthy 13, a number that is considered superstitiously bad for many. Zimbabwe will be very glad to see it on their scoreboard.
Yeah, that's a full score that Namibia need to catch up. Try and conversion, still early days, but when you have such a cushion, you're very happy about it, especially knowing that the first cut is the deepest. They need to build on to this momentum that they have so far. The Sables, I know for a fact that there's so many people watching in Harare, like you mentioned. There's been all those watch parties and the fans joining in to share their voice. I can imagine they are on their feet right now.
Big pick here from Ian Pryor. They try to keep the game rolling once again. It's going to be now a very key ask of Namibia and their will to grind out performances. This is the first game in this tournament that they are actually in the trailing seat.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult for them. Namibia, although they are the team to beat in this tournament, Zimbabwe have upped the challenge. And you know, I'll tell you something, Jermaine. The reports that have been coming in, people say this is not the strongest Namibia side, but when you are at the Rugby Africa Cup tournament, that's not an excuse that will pass. You've brought your best because everyone is expected to bring their best. And so far, this is the stiffest challenge they have faced. I just want to see how quickly they will recover and get back level matters or perhaps ahead, then we will know that it's a fair contest across the board.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, there's no certainty of saying it's not your best as long as you get to put on the national jersey and stand for the national anthem. Then you are what the nation has to offer, and you have to put your body on the line.
Strong carry in there from Vian Conradi, but the tacklers do not release, and they give away another penalty for backshot. That's Simba Mandioma.
As they prepare to go into the kick, we do remind you, Omo are proud sponsors of the Rugby Africa Cup. And as the two teams battle it out here in the final, we do remind you that dirt is good and Omo keeps your jerseys fresh. Omo, unbeatable on stains. Cliven with a chance to hack down once again at that score.
I wonder why Namibia have changed their kick routine. This restart after the try went so deep, yet they know Zimbabwe are struggling with the reset, with the kick reset. Maybe now the goal is to apply pressure in the Zimbabwe territory, then perhaps win penalties like this for Cliven Lupsa to kick and convert.
It's one thing to anticipate the kick and convert, and it's another to get it done. But Cliven has definitely proven that he's apt to the job. Makes a kick. Flags come up and the conversion is good, sending that to 9 for Namibia. Now the strategy begins to come to play.
Business. No joking around in this match. Zimbabwe strike, but Namibia no, 1 by 1. 1+1 makes a bando. Cliven Lupsa, 3 penalties so far on the board. It was 7 just before. Now they are within just 1 try.
Started here, gotten into the sequence. It's going to be a scrum in here. Meanwhile, we do remind you, be your own investor with MTN Momo. Investors laws 1,000 and earn daily interest, and you can withdraw your money anytime you want. No paperwork needed. Simply dial *165 *6# and select investor or use the MTN Momo app. Scrum loading here. It's going to be a test of the wheels here as Zimbabwe up to the task. As they lock in. Set to motion. Hilton Mudariki gets it on once again to the enforcer. Now this time breaking lines. It's a good play from Brandon Mudekenyezi as they try to carry the ball up front here, powering their way into the 22. The Sables. And that's a penalty awarded and a chance here to storm forward. Hilton Mudariki, the captain, leading by example.
Yeah, the defense was slow to retreat the 10-meter line, but then also Hilton Mudariki.
And there's a yellow card here brandished at Namibia.
His opposite number, Jackie Theron, made the tackle but delayed roll away in the eyes of Paul Mente. That cynical play. You're delaying the team's chance to play a continuous game. You will be spending the next 10 minutes in the bin.
Well, now down on the count for the scoreboard and down on the count for a man here. Do the Belvichers have enough in the tank to prove that they have championship mettle against all adversity?
Yes, they do, because now this is just the halfback who is off. The forwards are still in. I'm thinking the Namibians want to line out and then maul, but all the 8 for, rather the Zimbabweans, all the 8 for Namibia are in, so it will be a contest of how quickly do we get to set this line and then we can explore the spaces out wide. But Zimbabwe have such a strong pack, they could maul it.
Matthew to deliver the line in. Well picked up there. Matthew Mandioma has been excellent at the line outs. It's just those small elements, the tiny components of the game, the basics, and doing them right. And that's probably one of the key strengths that the Sables do have here. 24 minutes. They carry on with a chance here to get dangerously close to the try line. Namibia will now have to keep all their wits about them, because if there's one thing that the Zimbabwe Sables know how to do, is to grind out that defense and find a way to pop themselves over the try line. The ball is held out, looking to release, and the referee points out that, yep, it's held. Namibia live to die another day.
Simba Mandioma too eager. There was a low clarification from World Rugby that you cannot jump over the rack to score a try, as it's not safe. for the tackler and for you, the ball carrier. He just shifts a bit to the side, and in his attempt to roll and ground the ball, he realizes that he's been held up, tries to shift it backwards. Paul meant a quick on the whistle, held up the call. The forwards know that they have the arsenal, but Namibia have survived the first scare.
Big kick, trying to keep that ball within the playing surface, and now here comes Mafura, releases that ball quick. Zimbabwe not holding on to that ball too long, just making sure they pass it and let the ball do what it does best. Brandon Mudekenyezi goes to the ground. Hildon Mudariki with a chance to restart quick. Gets it in motion. The support is there as always. The skipper now to Matthew Mandioma. Out onto the flank here. Tino skips away from one, dodges a second, dances his ways, making the Mandela National Stadium his personal dance floor. The applause of the fans there was music to his ears, but they have a job at hand. Ian Pryor plays the blind, releasing the ball. They have an opportunity, inching closer into the 22. Mudariki once again. Oh, that will count as a knock-on. And the frustration very evident there on Brandon Mudekenyezi as he thumps that clear. It was actually Kudzai Shawi.
I'll tell you, Ian Pryor committed himself as bait, took the big hit but offloaded the ball, and that's what opened that gap momentarily. Zimbabwe are playing the numbers game, and they are using their playmakers well.
Well, sacrificed himself earlier for that particular opportunity, and now will attempt to go to the kicking tee once again. Might be just the moment to aptly remind them or remind the fans that this is the time to grab yourself a Rock Boom and energize your game. Rock Boom, Uganda's #1 premium energy drink, and it brings the energy to the pitch as the official energy partner of the Uganda Rugby Union. Ian Pryor, 26 minutes and a chance to go to the polls once again. 13 to turn to 16 is exactly what he would definitely have in mind. Looks like the breeze is not on, so could be a good opportunity to make that count. Makes the kick. Top stuff, top tier stuff once again from the man popularly known as Sabuku.
What Cliven Lupsa does, Ian Pryor is able to do as well. The difference now is that Ian Pryor is getting more opportunities, more shots at goal, and he's keeping that distance for the Zimbabweans against the Namibians. But you can tell his focus is not even about the scoring. It is that his team be able to get the receipt. Well, every time he goes back, he's directing his team on how best to receive that kick. And look at Brandon Mzekenyezi in with the forwards, because he is able to receive that ball even much better.
Well, they look to get the motion started once again. That is Matthew Mandioma, and carries it just a couple of meters here. Still has possession. A couple of bodies in there that have really taken a battering over the tournament, and you wonder if they do have what it takes to execute without feeling the pain in the final, the grandest stage of them all, the grand finale, the final stop. Picked up well, setting it in motion, Ian Pryor. And that's a big kick from Mafura.
He's looking for space behind the back line, but it's well covered by the Namibians. And they return the kick through Andre van der Berg. Tapia Mafura for sure now will be looking to exit, but we know him to be a player who can run it strong. I wonder what the foul could be, or rather the infringement. Looking at Sylvain Mane on the line out, it's clear that Andre van der Berg put a foot in touch, and it's going to be a line out for Zimbabwe.
Tiniest of margins, it always comes down to in such games. Tiniest of margins. It's a line out. Matthew Mandioma once again a chance to work his magic from the touchline, making sure that ball is well dried up here to enhance precision. The faithfuls of the Sables here continue to cheer on the defending champions. Referee not happy with that particular line out. They've lost it here. In case you do find yourself in a fix, we do remind you, logbook financing is something that is a reality. If you dial *249#, and platinum credits will be at your help, at your beck and call.
You know, Zimbabwe have played 14 games on Ugandan soil compared to Namibia's 8. And this is information from ISA Metrics. For those games, when using Uganda as a neutral venue, Zimbabwe have played 6 and won all 6, while Namibia have played 5 and lost 1 last year to Zimbabwe.
There is a tall order, or is going to be a trick. But they definitely have a home away from home.
Well, when you talk about them being on neutral ground, it's 6 times, and Namibia have won on 5 occasions. So it's the more you look at the numbers, the more they continue to tell you that this is a balanced contest between these two teams. And of course, the win predictor was 54 in favor of Zimbabwe, and 45 point, 54.45 point on the other side. This is as balanced as it can be.
Well, now that you bring the statistics in play and talk about their record against Namibia, Zimbabwe will take solace in the fact that these two teams have both made the grandest appearances as far as the World Cup is concerned. 9 of the last 10 Rugby World Cups they have been there. 1995, the only one that didn't feature Namibia and Zimbabwe.
That was Cote d'Ivoire. They may have just lost the 7th place playoff, but historically they are a big African team in rugby.
The Rugby Africa Cup, of course, brought to you by Nile Special, proud partners and sponsors of the Uganda Rugby Cranes, who just managed to punch their ticket to ensuring that they stay in the top tier, surviving that relegation dogfight.
At least for now, given that there might be a change or not, or the tournament might happen or not, we wait to see what Rugby Africa will plan for next year, but at least Uganda have ensured they've not gone out with the wooden spoon at home.
Tipped in, both teams now having to regroup as we have just 9 minutes to play in this particular half. Zimbabwe 16, Namibia 9. Crunch time it is for the Velvicha. They'll definitely look to make an impact here before halftime. That is the advisable thing. That is the smart play. But what you want and what you can do normally are two very difficult things.
Yeah. There's some of the fans who are not happy to be at the Mandela National Stadium. I wonder maybe if they didn't let their family know that they would be
not happy
at the biggest showpiece on the African continent, watching some beautiful continental rugby.
Looking to ground that ball and it just didn't happen.
Perhaps the one thing that Namibia will be happy about is that it's just seconds before their number 9 Jackie Teron returns to the playing field. That's why you see Andre van der Berger playing number 9 duties.
They continue to battle it. Taking in move by move. Looking to break the grand assault here as the ball is lost out. The referee deems possession in favor of Namibia. That infringement earlier, the advantage that was played, will be brought back, and there's a yellow card brandished here.
That should be Jason Fraser, the number 8. Slapped the ball down in the tackle, but also his lock, Godfrey Muzanago, was in an offside position at that breakdown. Zimbabwe are being a bit too sloppy towards halftime. And now the tables have turned. Namibia will be back to 15. Zimbabwe are now down to 14. The most difficult part is that Zimbabwe will finish this first half with a man down and start the second half still handicapped.
Yeah, they'll definitely have to start with the first 2 minutes without a man. Is it a case of having the tank burnt out slightly as you approach halftime? Could be the question. We'll wait to see. Jason Fraser, confirmation there of the Sables, getting himself sent to the sin bin. A chance to reflect on his transgressions there.
Now we get to see the full power line out from Namibia against a handicapped Zimbabwe pack, but the line out does not go to hand, and then it's lost forward by Dylan Utete.
Oh, what was that? Why was he spinning in mid-air with the ball? I have no clue. Somehow just spun in mid-air, didn't have anyone contesting him, and lost the ball.
Yeah, both teams a little bit too sloppy. in this final. Handling error by Zimbabwe, another handling error by Namibia, double knock-on. It's going to be set piece for Namibia. Now we get to see what that power play feels like. 8 men against 7. The decision now for Zimbabwe is, do they bring a midfielder on and have 8 men in the scrum, or do they keep it 7 and cover all the spaces out wide? You can see Lorumalan and Dan Kobaga in the midfield partnership, but there's a space on the outside where Edward Sigaoke is defending. That's where Tino Tenda Mavesere will need to watch out for that overlap on the blind side.
Zimbabwe locking in here. They're the only team in the tournament that have maintained the same props for all their games. The chance comes up here, looking to feed the ball in, battling their way through.
It's the captain, Prince Concept. Almost out of nothing, he broke the first tackle. And if you need someone to stand up for your team, you need your leader. Prince Concept with his first try. The first try actually for Namibia in this final. Look at him. Bumps off Kozai Mashawi. You can bump off my players. I won't be having any of that. I'll score the try.
And that will be music to the ears of all those down at Walvis Bay, all those in Windhoek. Swankopomund will also be in celebration as Namibia prove that they are in this for the long haul. 16 apiece, game on.
And the conversion is good as well. So from 9 to 14, make it a conversion, 16 all.
16 all.
Cleveland Loops are wasting no time. They want to strike again in this power play. Namibia going to halftime with the lead. And they have that swing of momentum in their favor.
Well, Zimbabwe making it count for themselves here with just 5 minutes left to play in the first half. Making a very good account of themselves. Big kick to put that ball out to the flank. Looking to dazzle their way here. Twisting one way, then the other. And now Namibia, the Velvecha, still have possession. Looking to get away in this one. It's the final. And definitely all hands on deck. Good spread. Out on the flank. Looking for a chance. Just forced to play in their own half here at the moment. Namibia, they need to find a way to advance their game forward, and they're trying to do just that. Going to the ground there. Decent attempt from Leroux Malan.
Yeah, Jacques Theron is back on as well. Oh, Tapio Mafura landing in
a hefty challenge. Referee will bring it back for the earlier infringement.
I think up in the air should be Jagenmeier. He lost the contest in the air.
Landed awkwardly there. That's definitely bound to jolt the spine. As Ian Pryor puts that into touch.
Nobato Kenny once on the scrum rugby show on NBA Sport explained to us what happens in the kick chest. He says it is conquer or concede. And Jagenmeier went up in the air, but he was beaten to it by Tapia Mafura, and he had to concede. He didn't concede, gave away the penalty.
Line out. And as always, meticulous with his preparations here to deliver that. Matthew Mandioma sets it in, well picked up in there by their number 4. Now looking to get his way through. Looks like he led with the elbow there, but that won't count. Kudzai Mashawi, the enforcer, once again stomping the yard.
Not held, Muzekenyezi, so he can play on.
Hilton Mudariki, skipper, once again, as always, calling the play, making it count, and now looking for the kick and chase and ball. Well, he had no choice there. Looks like was caught between a rock and a hard place.
He had to take the easy way out, walking into touch because you have 2 men attacking against you. But I'll remind you again, just notice the difference between the halfbacks. Hilton Mudarik with all force and all conviction. Ian Pryor calm, makes it look so easy. Easy stuff. He kicks the ball into that green area and he gains good territory for the Sables. But his halfback partner is giving it more than 100%.
Line out. Matthew Mandioma to deliver this one. As we approach halftime, and the two teams will earn that break, but still locked at 16 apiece. We already did see one game going all the way to extra time earlier on, and sudden death.
That's why the final has started 45 minutes later than scheduled.
Mafura skips away, gets past the halfway line, still has possession here for the Sables. Up to go out onto the left, skipping one. They seem to be able to contest that fast challenge, breaking the line. But now this time, maybe I might have spoken too soon. The classic commentator's cast this time impeded. As they look to swing, nice dummy, gets past his marker and earns a few inches into enemy territory. Sables is into the final lapses of this half, and Ian Pryor will put that into touch. Not quite.
It's
calling the mark.
It's in the 22. Ian Pryor was looking for just that territory, just in front of the line, but he sends it straight into the hands of Andre van der Berger, his opposite number, who calls the mark, taps it, and will put it into touch. Still line out Zimbabwe, but that is good exit territory for Namibia.
Of course, the Rugby Africa Cup brought to you by Omo, unbeatable on stains. MTN, your telecommunications partner. Platinum Credit, your finance solutions. Of course, Rockpool, Uganda's premium energy drink. And Nile Special, made of gold.
It's the last play of the first half. The clock has ticked 40. And we have a stoppage for a Namibian player who is on his knees. You notice something about the forwards and how they've been training. I told you I watched that warm-up. In the warm-up, you notice that they were doing those double tackles for the forwards and then single tackle for the backs. But as it stands, the Zimbabweans are using that hop step to get out, to break that fast tackle, get behind the gain line. But the Namibians as well, they are working hard on their recycle, keeping as many men as they can on their feet. And that is what is making it an interesting contest today. Most of the rugby has been played inside the 22 territories. On one side for Namibia and on the other side for Zimbabwe.
Maybe about time that the management of this complex switch on those lights, because the overcast skies are getting darker and darker. And that means we won't be playing on normal daylight anymore. Might hamper a bit of visibility.
Yeah, it would be nice to have floodlights rugby in Uganda. It's very rare.
When was the last time we did have it? Pre-COVID?
Yeah, one of those fun tournaments in the past. Maybe a playoff game, a premiership game in 2019, 2020. It was on Valentine's Day. I remember it because the players had to give the fans some roses to celebrate that beautiful day of love. And now maybe Test Rugby will get a chance to play under the floodlights in Uganda.
The referee calls it time on the first 40 minutes, and there's nothing to split the two behemoths that are jousting for the opportunity to be crowned champions of the African continent. Both teams giving as good as they get and quite easily matching up to each other. They're kicking up to the tee, and both having a bit of disciplinary issues, having a player each sent to the sin bin. But as it stands, there's no separating them in the first 40 minutes, and it will be all to play for in the second half. Because as it is right now, halftime at the Rugby Africa Cup 2025 in the finals at the Mandela National Stadium in Kampala, it's the Zimbabwe Sables 16, Namibia Welvichers 16.
And also
Second half gets underway right here as Zimbabwe and Namibia get to tussle it out for another 40 minutes and maybe beyond if it stays as it was in the first half. Welcome back to the Mandela National Stadium. It is the Rugby Africa Cup 2025 grand finale. Zimbabwe takes on Namibia. Jermaine Egesa here with Ernest Akolebirunji as we anticipate 40 minutes to suffer.
Two things I noticed already on the restart. The referee is getting a call from his managers in the backfield. Edward Sigauke was bumped into just on the touchline, and then Tapia Mafura taken high in the tackle. And I'm thinking that's the clarification that Prince Awasebe is trying to give Paul Mente, that Sigauke stood in a channel that blocked the runner's line, forcing him to have no choice. So the penalty will only be for the high tackle on Tapia Mafura. That's a bit of a frantic and energetic start to this second half in the final, but as well, the teams have come out of their changing rooms flying, because what a kick from Ian Pryor inside his own half sends it into the 22.
Well, a fight for gold is what is on here, and a chance to actually punch their tickets to the Rugby World Cup that will be coming up next year. Of course, the Rugby Africa Cup here brought to you by Nile Special, made of gold. Line in, Matthew Mandioma to deliver this one for the Sables. That seemed not to be straight according to the touch judge. Delivers it in good, and now using the maul here to try and advance their cause. The Sables here battling, heckled on here by their teammate who's held up high, trying to outwit Namibia, but it turned out to be flaky towards the end, going to the ground. They still have possession, an opportunity to advance, and right through the center, trying to battle their way through, but quickly contended with here by the Velvicha. The attack.
Been kicked out,
spills over,
and then lost forward. Zimbabweans not taking care of the ball at the breakdown, they kick it out, but Namibia not taking care of the same ball in hand, and they lose it forward. You notice after that rolling maul, Brandon Mzekenyezi, because of his pace and quick feet, is always the first receiver to try and attack that gap between the maul and the backliners. That space is always patrolled by a number 9 or a number 10, and that is what Mzekenyezi was looking for, but the defense was sharp and to the point.
And now Zimbabwe are back to full strength as Jason Fraser returns from the purgatory of rugby. His sin bin is done. He will continue with the game.
We call it purgatory. It's the one place you go to where you ask for your sins to be forgiven.
And hope and pray that you're given another chance. He's given one. That's the beauty about it. 43 minutes that is on the clock, 16 apiece. The scoreline on the board, the prize at hand, 1 trophy and 1 ticket to nothing short of the Rugby World Cup. There'll be a chance for whoever loses this final in the repechage, but we get ahead of ourselves. Why talk about losing when both teams still have it at hand?
What an offload from Matthew McNabb to Tapiwa Mafura, back in field. From the scrum, it was Tino Tenda Maveseri at number 8, and look at him clearing that breakdown. Advantage to Zimbabwe rather, and they will strike. Only just short, the Namibian defense holding on.
You might want to hold it for a moment here, just as Namibia also looking to hold out onto the defense. Matthew Mandioma repelled momentarily. That ball is shot backwards. Namibia still have a lot to do in terms of defending. Zimbabwe finally strike it.
I think it was the first attempt by Simba. Mandioma, that's the try. High fives go to Muzanago Godfrey. But that attempt by Mandioma, I think that's the try, because he looked like he had managed to make it to the whitewash. There's the carry from Godfrey Muzanago. Gets a good shape on possession, grounds the ball. Yes, that's the one. If Simba's didn't count, Muzanago's will not be denied.
Muzanago has definitely been quite a commendable pillar to their ascent here to the top of the scoring board. He's been excellent in the air, picking those lineouts. He's definitely brought the power and the grit in those close contact situations. And now he adds a try to his name and gives a chance to Ian Pryor once again to grace the pitch with his pre-match ritual A wiggly dance that sets him in motion, and an attempt to extend the lead even further. Goes for the kick. And this time, the execution, as it has been on numerous occasions, quite apt to the task.
Ian Pryor is in a good mood, he's in a good zone. And you remember from the semi-final, this is the same direction he was kicking to, so he knows that he knows how to strike the ball in that direction. Godfrey Muzanago changing from assist leader behind Ian Pryor to try scorer. Namibia's result, Zimbabwe's kick receipt still leaving a little bit more to be desired. Contest from the Velvishers up in the air. I think that is JC Nell up in the air, wins the contest, but he has lost the ball forward.
We'll get into the scrum once again. Hilton Mudariki is the man that is expected now to set things in motion.
Another heavy carry from Kuzai Mashawi, and I think Jackie Teron's day is over. He's still on the floor in pain. That was a heavy carry from Kuzai Mashawi, shoulder to the body, and Teron is in pain on the floor.
Muscles, yes.
Straight carry. It's like a shoulder to the side of the head. For sure, Jackie Teron will be going for that head injury assessment.
There'll be questions on whether he actually is conscious. But that was a heavy jolt there that must have rocked and jangled with his mind. We'll definitely hope that things work out for them. Excited fans out in here who are definitely having the time of their lives and making sure that everything stays stick to plan. Definitely enjoying the Rugby Africa Cup. Rained a bit earlier, but definitely makes for some brilliant breezing through the games. And we do remind you that even if it gets muddy, whether on the pitch or on the sidelines, remember, that is good, and Omo keeps your jerseys and clothes and jeans fresh. Omo, unbeatable on stains. Well, that's a worrying sign when you see that stretching.
Yeah, I worry for Jackie Teron. Got a yellow card in the first half. He'll come back, a chance to perhaps save his blemishes, and he's on the unfortunate side of a strong carry.
Well, fine time for Ugandans. Guaranteed themselves to stay in the top tier. Got the victory, the first win of the tournament. And for this man, always an occasion to celebrate Alexis, as he normally calls himself, a party charger.
Happy to see Jackie Teron back on his feet. He's walking off the pitch. Good show of sportsmanship from his opposite number, Hilton Mudariki. Give him a pat on the back.
Well, there he is. Still looks a little bit out of sorts, dazed or so.
Yeah, he's going all the way to the medical room for a head injury assessment. There's Dr. Faith of the Uganda Rugby Cranes formerly leading him out of the turf, and the change has been made to bring on AJ Kans should be in that halfback position.
Well, a brutal start once again by Zimbabwe. They are really exploiting the physical aspect of the game and leaving nothing to chance. At this rate, they really will have Namibia thinking twice before they head headlong into battle, but not that man in there. That is Prince Noseb, who's definitely making it a point to counter physicality with physicality. Now they do have possession, trying to brace themselves to get into the thick of things, into the 22. Bodies flying and rolling all over the place. Setting it in motion. Hard tackle. Gets the man, but they still have possession. Cliven carries the ball into the 22. Support arriving. And someone looked like he dived in there.
Tackler needed to get out of the way. Dylan Utete hampered the contest, and now Namibia have advantage.
Well, that's the third incident. Dylan has put his team in a precarious position. He needs to get his game on today. Hasn't been top-notch as yet. We know and probably demand a lot of higher standards from him. He's a top player. Tonight's just not in his groove as yet.
Yeah, Dylan Utete. The tackle has made support come flying in so quickly. He's taking just half a second late to get out of the way. His teammate has his hands on the ball. It's a good contest, but the tackler is still in. Penalty awarded.
Substitutes here getting themselves primed to get into the game. A chance for the bomb squad to deliver its end of the affairs.
Interesting that Namibia have decided to go to the corner for the line out. The 3 was easy and up for the taking. They score, they make it 19. It's just a 4-point game, but they want the full 7.
Well, ultimately it's a numbers game. They
lose
battle,
the
they
contest
gamble,
in the air.
they lose it.
Scoring opportunity was up for the taking. They didn't opt for it, and good contest in the air from Muzanabo to win that ball. And now Hilton Mudariki can exit with a good box kick.
Every decision in rugby is a seat at the roulette table. Here you take the gamble, make a chance, attempt to fashion out one. Works well, pure genius. Doesn't work, opportunity. Not lost, but quite aptly passed on to your opponent. Line out. Preparing now to introduce a bit of backup in here.
That's Aiden Barnett.
Popularly known to many here as Banya. Versatile forward who plays with Old Harians Rugby Club. Interesting fact about him, apart from putting his body on the line, he is the contact number that every player on the team actually has in their phone.
Oh. Must be the life of the party for the Sables.
Or maybe they get the emergency contact everybody needs.
He could be the father figure.
Banya, as is popularly known, gets into the fray. He's definitely one of those that knows how to bring both mind and body to the game.
Yeah, Dylan Utete had emptied his tank and was beginning to be a bit too slow.
Hasn't had a very good showing in the finals. He's picked the wrong day to not be in his groove.
Not the worst of performances, but given the standard that he has set for himself,
Below par.
Just a little bit.
By his standards.
It's the first time in this final that we're seeing a line out go not straight. Second time. It's unusual for us to see. The teams have been operating a highly efficient match. But the one thing they've done, to be honest, is contest up in the air. They have gone up in the air, both teams.
A change for Zimbabwe. Of course.
Hilton Mudariki with the ball, fits it in. He's found himself quite the legion of fans, Hilton Mudariki, here in Uganda.
I mean, he's the captain. The media duties make him a bit more popular.
That's definitely a darling for many in the media as well.
He's still a good character. Always wearing a smile when speaking to fans and the media. But in this game, he's meaning business. You can see him grinding his teeth in every effort that he does. The pass, the carry, the kick, the tackle.
Big one. Nice reception from Ian Pryor. No time to rest on their laurels as skipping away from one, skipping away from a second, retaining possession here. Tapiwa is absolutely in his zone.
Tapia Mafura as elusive as ever, and look where that brings the Zimbabwe Sables inside the 22. What a line from
knock on
Aiden
Jason
Barnett.
Fraser.
Aiden Barnett in the number 20 jersey was cutting a beautiful angled run, but the ball did not go to hand safely.
Now they'll have to build from deep once again. Looks like it will be their power bunny, Tapiwa Mafura. Started that off and gets them right back into the Welvicha territory.
I thought he had picked the wrong option. A bit too light jogging. You can see how much it has left a teammate on the floor. Brandon Mzekenyezi got a shoulder from the side, not expecting the contest in there. There was acres of space on the outside, and he's known to be a good runner in open space.
Hilton Mudariki prying that ball loose, and the box kick comes in, and now quickly setting themselves to chase that one. Smart play as Kudzai Moshawi was hounding whoever was going to get that ball.
Ball lost backwards by Richard Hadvik. Possession still in the hands of Namibia, and they will look to get out of that red zone. It's very dangerous territory for them to be playing.
Interestingly, I did see a fan earlier on in the day who should be less than 3 and was proudly clad in a Hardwick jersey. Must be a very, very big fan. Crunch time here for the Sables. Namibia are out here looking to collect, but they'll have to first pry the ball from the hands of the Sables, and that's a touch. Ball is into touch, and that will be line out. Find yourself in a fix, and your logbook could come to your aid. Logbook financing, where you can borrow money using that USSD code *249#. It is brought to you by Platinum Credits.
Looking at this set piece, the teams have had the 50% retention from the first half. It's just that Namibia have had more attempts, 4 out of 8. And Zimbabwe 4 out of 8, Namibia 2 out of 4. 50% retention in the first half. So far, so good. Still a fair contest in the final in this specific set piece.
Looking to hold on here, Namibia, and trying to keep the ball in motion.
As obstruction, the maul splintered a bit, and at that point the ball carrier was exposed. Unfortunately, he stayed behind his props in front of him, giving away that penalty for obstruction.
Looks like that will be a substitution. Adrian Boyson set to be delivered into the game. Actually, no, that would be for Zimbabwe. Samir playing a number. Bruce Holston.
Bruce Holston is Irish best. He has played for the Ireland age grade teams. He's coming in, got called for his allegiance, and now he has a chance to come and maybe perhaps send Zimbabwe to their first World Cup in decades. Hilton Mudariki in the pre-match interview said some of the players on this team were not even born yet when Zimbabwe was at the World Cup. All they have are videos and memories from the players and people who were there and saw with their own eyes.
Always a difficult task to live up to the illustrious past and have to carry it in forward, but now they could beat their own path and start their own legacy, and it starts now. Definitely have to put in the shift. Notoriously missing from this game today in terms of what he brings to the game. Edward Sigauke has been very quiet.
Yeah, perhaps one of his contribution is to run on to the contact zone in that number 11 jersey and give his teammates a thumbs up for the work well done. But of all people, imagine Hilton Mudariki winning a turnover against his captain Chris Koseb. It's a contest from the leaders, but Hilton Mudariki, the most unlikely of jacklers.
It's a substitution that would still force off the pitch. Kudzai Mashawi, the vice captain, run his socks dry, is put in his shift. The question is, has he been taken off at the right moment? I don't know why my mind seems to say he probably still had a few minutes left in him.
After all those carries, you get to think that maybe he had the analysts are seeing on their dashboards that he has run out, he has gone beyond his meter, and of course the same can be said of the captain. It's 15 minutes on the clock, and the 2 try scorers have been taken off in substitution. They've given their best. Kozai Mashawi and Chris Trausev. What a contribution for their teams in this final. And now the bench, the substitutes, can look to push it all the way to the end. But as it stands, Zimbabwe have just 1 score lead over Namibia. Try, converted, and we're back there.
An interesting array of substitutions we saw earlier from Kenya, throwing the entire bomb squad all on in one swoop.
Well, if you can do one thing, is learn from the world champion South Africa. Bring on all your forwards. They don't call them the bomb squad for nothing.
Big kick. Tapiwa in position, fakes the kick. Tries to carry the ball forward. Looked like there was a high tackle in there.
Yes, that's a tackle.
Have to continue. Opposition stiff and no way there to get forward here for Eddie Sigauke.
That must be one of the strongest fabrics you can find in Africa. Edward Sigauke's pants not losing a single thread. And Danko Barga appears to have hurt his shoulder in that attempted tackle. He's on the floor in pain.
9th cap here for the 21-year-old Eddie Sigaoke. Siggy, as is popularly known, or the transporter. Hasn't done a lot of carries today.
Look at his chase, pinning Andre van der Berg behind, and then the low pass out.
Had eyes for one thing there, Bruce Holston, just taking out his man from the equation of play. As the Piwa gets onto the ball. And that's Ian Pryor, makes the kick.
He's looking for that 50-22, but well fielded by the winger. Rather the fly half Andre van der Berg. Unfortunately, he's lost it forward. The question is, has he put a foot in touch? Because if he does, that's a 50-22.
He did. He had his foot into touch. And Sydney Gongodio, who could not make it to the lineup today, is in the stands enjoying the game. Questions now, decisions to be made. The referee will now explain his decision to the team. It's like he did put his foot into touch, and it's a scrum here.
Yeah, he lost the ball forward. Foot maybe was not in touch. Lost the ball forward there as he attempted to stop the 50-22, but it's still dangerous territory because you give away a scrum against Zimbabwe. It's as good as a line out.
Zim protecting the ball. The ball is picked up here, looking to advance. Aiden Burnett. Skipping away from a challenge there. Tino sets it onto the flank. The Sables still have possession, and there's a clean out through. Try time it is. Saw the moment, and Brandon Mzekenyeze wasted absolutely no time tearing through that defense. And finally, they begin to put a bit of a gulf between them. And he says that's what you get from back talking.
Brandon Mzekenyeze is a man who knows how to run his mouth, but he puts his money where his mouth is when he gets the chance on the ball. What a carry it is. Zimbabwe took off Kuzai Mashawa, and it looked like maybe the midfield was a bit weaker, but look at that carry from Brandon Mzekenyeze. Shifts the ball into the other hand, pins his ears back, and dives for the try line. A punch, a fist in the air from the general manager TJ. Maybe Zimbabwe are on their way to Australia.
Well, what a performance there from Brandon. For a moment, Zimbabwe coming undone, and it looked like the Red Sea parting right in front of Moses. And a big kick here, once again from Ian Pryor, as he has done one too many times often, makes the conversion, sets up Zim for the big 3-0. And now it's a real chase that's going to take all the abilities and all the mental fortitude here for the Velvichers to keep the chase. It's a double, or almost a double tally.
That's what I was about to say. Namibia came from just one try. Now it is double the points that they have. They need to respond quickly. The clock is now just at the hour mark, 20 minutes left to play. The way things are set up, I don't think we're going into extra time, but who knows?
And here they come, trying to respond in quick measure. Talk about a strike back and bringing it right back to the heart of the enemy. Jason Neal returns with a bang.
Rugby scores can be so deceptive. We're waxing lyrical about Zimbabwe, maybe on their way to Australia. Namibia have said, hold on, hold your horses. The restart going again and again to hurt the Sables. Jason Neal needs no second invitation, does the same thing as Mzekenyeze, pins his ears back. The midfielder at the wing, going all the way for the try. Zimbabwe, we mentioned it from kickoff, their restarts needed to be good, their resets rather. And Jason Neal has shown that it is far from over. It is far from over.
You would have needed a greyhound to catch up with him. Once he had the wind in his sails, he was gone and gone. But now a big task besits Cliven to try and add the extras here. Bit of an awkward angle. But if they have the man for the job, this should be him.
Oh, Rugby, you beauty. 30 points to 16 looks like a huge margin. Suddenly it's 30-21 with a conversion to go. It's still game on.
All to play for. Big kick. Doesn't look like it will make the count. It doesn't. And so it remains a 9-point difference. The defending champions still in the lead the contenders and contestants with an illustrious history as well as pedigree and ranking, the Velvichers of Namibia keeping the chess.
Wow, what a final.
Scores 21.
All eyes in international rugby are on the Mandela National Stadium in this beautiful pearl of Africa, our country called Uganda. These Southern African giants, Namibia and Zimbabwe, are putting on a masterpiece of a show.
Sigaoke carrying that ball inadvertently forward, but play allowed to carry on here as Namibia get possession. Now quickly assessing options, and they'll go for the kick. Strategically hoofed to the skies. Picked up here by Ian Pryor, who will waste no time dispatching the same.
He's looking for that grass behind the Namibian line, but unfortunately the bounce of the rugby ball is in his favor. It's going to be grounded in the in-goal area. Should be a goal line dropout, I believe. The Zimbabwe fans, as we said at the start, they are always on their feet dancing and wheeling their team on.
Substitution here. Zimbabwe will now attempt to throw on a juggernaut in Bonwell Winjin, who comes in.
He goes on for Cleopas Kundiona, who just signed for the Northampton Saints in the Gallagher Prem in England. It's top quality rugby that these two teams have in their players.
Mafura receives, fakes the dummy. Seems to be his signature. Every time he picks the ball, fakes that dummy first and then carries forward. Pick up now, brought to the ground. Hilton Mudariki sets it in motion. Nice pass, and once again, Tapua does the same thing again, and they fall for the trick once again.
Mafura is such a crafty man to defend. You don't know whether he's going to carry a pass or just dance around you.
Question is, he continues to lure them in and the team is not sure. And here comes another attempt as well. Bruce Holston also fakes the dummy.
He's a player off his feet at that breakdown. Need to be careful not to give away a penalty.
Holding on to the ball, Mudariki releasing it quick. Ian Pryor, as always, goes to the boot.
It's charged, so it's open play for everyone. Good recovery from Namibia.
Good play from Dan Kobaga, carries the ball forward, now brought to the ground. Captain earlier on having made a bit of play, the vice captain actually, or currently captain on the pitch since Prince Oseb was taken off.
Zimbabwe beginning to get on the wrong side of the referee, gives out a penalty. Tino Tenda Mavesera, I thought that was a clear contest, got back on his feet, but the referee says he did not release. And guess what? Zimbabwe are marched 10 meters back for back chatting at the referee. That's a good introduction for Namibia for Tian.
Ooh, look at that. That was picturesque.